All right, welcome to the USDA FSOP grant. We are talking about today broadening your participation, thinking about your grant and how it might translate when we talk about extension, outreach, education. Again, our grant is titled Empowering Minority Serving Institutions, Food Safety Specialists to Write Successful Food Safety Outreach Grants through Education, Training, and Technical Assistance. This is a collaboration between Texas Tech University, Alabama A&M University, and Iowa State University. I am your PI, Dr. Angela Shaw, here at Texas Tech. We have Dr. Armitra Jackson-Davis, who is at Alabama A&M University, Dr. Shannon Coleman at Iowa State University, and then we have our grant guru, Christine Strom. And we have a guest today. We are so excited. Erica is with us. She is our Associate Dean for Outreach and Engagement here at Texas Tech University, as well as she's a professor in the Department of Agricultural Education and Communication. So she is going to start us off today when we talk about the definitions and making sure we have some clarity. When you're writing a grant, you need to make sure that your activities are actually placed where they're supposed to be. Then we're going to talk about broadening participation and transferability. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Irlbeck to get us started.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to do this and happy to share with you what I know, what I have learned in working here at Texas Tech. I have been at Texas Tech for 18 years, and outreach and engagement has been the theme of what I do here at Texas Tech. So I am a professor in agricultural communications and have been in this role in the Davis College Dean's office for about 9 months now. So for today's lesson, we're going to cover several different topics. And so 1, definitions, 2, outreach and engagement and grant proposals, and 3, outreach and engagement in your career as a faculty member. And so we are recording this in the beginnings of summertime. So I thought, what better way to reflect on summertime than to have a pool theme. And also, if you're watching this later in the wintertime, then you can be dreaming of summertime. So we'll dive right in. Okay, so before I get too far into what I want to talk about, people have very strong opinions about outreach and engagement. There are a lot of definitions out there. A lot of times people get the terms confused. And so just know that people will use outreach, engagement, service interchangeably. So I'm going to give you the definitions. So just here at Texas Tech, we have just recently gone through a round of defining outreach, engagement, engaged scholarship. So that's where my definitions come from. Our definitions are based on the Engaged Scholarship Consortium. They come from other institutions as well. So, these come from several different sources. However, I cannot promise that there may be a reviewer out there that would disagree with some of these terms. So these are the terms that we are using, and these are terms that are fairly well accepted by the Academy of Engaged Scholars, but there may be somebody out there that says like, no, that's not engagement. Engagement should be this way. But I firmly believe that these are the accepted and right definitions. Again, just know that somebody may disagree with something. So there's my disclaimer. So let's start with outreach. Outreach is one-way delivery of education programs. So this is something where some people will say that these are one-off activities, and they can be, but sometimes outreach can be something where it's You can do outreach that happens over a series of time. It can be kind of a short-term relationship, but essentially what outreach is you are sharing your expertise to somebody outside of the university. They generally have a limited output from your community. It's it doesn't take as much setup, but sometimes it can be quite a bit of quite a bit of preparation. So I'm going to show you a few examples, and we'll start with in keeping with the swimming and swimming pool themes. We'll start with just like swimming with floaties here. So this is my first example. So just like speaking at a conference could be considered outreach that's not too in depth. Speaking in a high school or elementary classroom, speaking to a community organization, really anything that shares your discoveries. And if you'll click one more time for me, please. Yeah, media interviews. Oh, one more time for me. Sorry. Media interviews, podcast interviews, your social media presence. And so this is an example of a faculty member that I work very closely with. She has a very strong social media presence. Her name is Lindsay Kennedy. Lindsay on the fly, if you like really nice photography. So this was you could almost call this an engaged scholarship. It probably is an engaged scholarship type of thing. So this is kind of a double dipping on this, but she uses her social media as an outreach. It extends the reputation of our department. It extends the reputation of our college and university, and it just bolsters the reputation of our institution. So, and that, like, doing this type of outreach, her social media, doing public speaking, yes, there's some preparation involved. There's some thought to it. But it's not as intense as some other types of things. And that leads me to the next round of, where you're swimming like a pro here. And so this could be things like helping out with STEM events on or off campus, hosting tours, workshops, recruitment activities, all of those. And these are some examples of our faculty out in the community, working with students in elementary schools in our communities. And these are, in this specific example, they're teaching others about agriculture and showing them that, showing them agriculture as a science. And so a little bit more preparation on this end, like they had to pull together materials for activities and things like that. So we're getting a little bit more professional. And so now we're moving into our deep dive types of activities. So things that take a lot more preparation, like camps. These are still considered outreach. Full day workshops. This example, this photo here, one of our faculty members did a workshop on beef on dairy, which is a really hot topic in the animal sciences world right now. And they had people from all over the place. There were probably 300 people. Huge undertaking, huge outreach undertaking. So that was a lot. And it might be something that was maybe it might be something that you would need some extra help to do some things like that. Field days, even some consulting could be considered an outreach activity. So next we will move into, let me just talk a little bit more on outreach. Why do outreach? A lot of people say that it helps with with grant seeking, and the reason why it does that is it bolsters the institution's reputation. The more you get out there, the more people know about you and your institution. And so when that reviewer of your grant, of your manuscript that you've submitted for publication, when they see that, they're like, oh, that comes from this institution. I've heard of them. I know, but I bet it's good. So it helps with that reputation building, and that carries over to everything from grant seeking to publication, everything. It helps with recruiting students, with faculty. It helps promote pride and morale. So be strategic with your outreach, because outreach can take a lot of work. So be very strategic in the way that you want to do your outreach, but it can be really fun and can really enhance the work that you're doing in your labs and in your classroom. Okay, so next we'll move into engagement. Engagement is collaborative. The university is working with and benefiting from the community just as much as the community is benefiting from us. It's a mutually beneficial exchange. It is a partnership where the two of you are working together. So, with outreach at camp, students come to camp, they learn things from us, we bolster our reputation, but that's, we're not getting just a whole lot out of it. Whereas engagement, we may be having our students that are enrolled in our classroom working with those campers. We may be collecting data from those campers with IRB approval, of course. So we are working together and there's some sort of a product involved. That's what makes engagement different. It's mutually beneficial. There's usually a partnership, and a lot of times there's a written agreement and there's a product involved. Okay, move on to the next. Okay, so an easy engagement project. Students in your class are working with students in a high school class collecting data, or your college students are mentoring K through 12 students. So the picture here, this one was a fun one. There is a high school here. It's actually, it's technically on the Texas Tech campus. It's on some land that we have. So this is one of our entomologists on campus, and he planted some native grasses out behind the school, and we got the students in the school to help us plant those plants. And once the plants are up and germinated and we have some bug life going on, we'll use those high school students to help us go out and do some bug counts and scout out for some of those insects that will be creating some habitat right behind their school. So that is engaged research. And Dr. Longing will use that data for his own research that he's doing. And those students learn a little bit about entomology and the natural world around them. So it's a mutual partnership, and I'm sure he'll publish off of that too. So that's where that product is, that published paper. So the swimming like a pro, we have students in our class working with students in a high school class to collect data. Our students are working with their students. We're collecting data together, or we're doing community-based research, or we're doing some sort of demonstration project. So in this photo, our turf grass specialist did a workshop on a local baseball field, brought in high school teachers. We collected data. The teachers received curriculum that they could implement into their classroom. And then we were able to publish some research from the teachers. We did some project evaluation off of those. And so it ended up being an engaged teaching and an engaged research project. And then the deep dive into engagement. Creating exhibits or performances, multimedia demonstrations. Your product does not have to be a research paper. It can be something else. Some people do clinical practices, so veterinary practices. Here at Texas Tech, we have a therapeutic writing center. So, that's a big undertaking. There's a lot that goes into it. So that would be why that's a deep dive here. We have students in our class collecting with data with a community partner. This is one of our ag communications faculty members. She was partnered with National Cattlemen's Beef Association and worked at their conference to collect data there, brought her graduate students there. And so her students, and actually she had some undergraduate student researchers there too. So that was an engaged research project right there. So why do engagement? It leverages our expertise, our resources. It gets us out there in the community. For our students, it builds character. It sparks critical thinking. It takes the focus off ourselves. It forces us to ask ourselves as faculty members, how can I help my community? And it also sets a good example for our students. So, I have done engaged teaching every semester since I started at Texas Tech. And one thing, like, I can't think of another way to teach this. I teach an agricultural communications campaigns class. I can't think of another way. Like, I want my students working with a real client. I don't want some pretend organization that I dreamed up. Like, that's just so arbitrary, and it doesn't mean anything to the students. They learn more when they're working with something real and an organization that needs their help. So I couldn't think of another way to do it. And it helps them help somebody else, which is a good way to be. You learn better when you're helping others. So engaged scholarship. So that's another term. And if you're going to use this example, engaged scholarship is when there's data collection and reporting in an academic journal or a conference. So your outreach oftentimes builds engagement, and then that engagement leads to engaged scholarship. Another term is community engaged learning, and that's not showing up very well on screen. Oh, well, there it is. Okay. Okay, community engaged learning. This is the new term for service learning. So that is, I haven't heard the term service learning in a couple of years, because it's being used as community engaged learning. I think if you still used service learning in a grant proposal, you would still be okay. But community engaged learning is the term that we're starting to use here at Texas Tech. And I think some other institutions are using this term as well. But yeah, this is where we are integrating our students in our classroom into a community partner in some way. And a lot of times people automatically assume, like, I'm putting my students in my classroom into a high school or elementary classroom. It does not have to be that. Because like I said, my campaigns class, it was a service learning class or community engaged learning class. And we were working with local nonprofits. So we weren't working with kids at all. So, you don't, I think a lot of times people think when they're doing community engaged learning or engagement, you have to work with kids. You do not. So if that's not something that's a fit for you, or if it's not something that you enjoy, then you don't have to do that. But yeah, there's usually, I like to have some sort of I don't want to use the word contract, but an agreement, a written agreement that spells out to the community partner, this is what we will provide, this is what you will get, and this is what we need you to provide. So there's usually some sort of an agreement up front so that everybody knows what to expect. Okay, so service often gets lumped into outreach and engagement. So these are some terms where we can delineate, and so that we're not confusing service activities with outreach and engagement activities, because they are different. So university service, these would be things like serving on your university's promotion and tenure committee, or you're going to serve on the student media committee, or you're advising a student organization. It's something that's outside of your teaching, research, creative activity. So that would be university service. Professional service, participating in professional associations, I even would put, like, if you're going to judge a contest or something like that, I would consider that professional service, or maybe even volunteerism. But it's serving on a board of a journal, or being an officer in your profession's organization. That would be considered professional service. And then volunteerism is just contributing your free time. So in the picture here, we did a volunteer project for our food bank's farm here in Lubbock. And so this was strictly a volunteer project. And what makes it volunteerism is that we had no thought that went into it. We set it up and we showed up. That was all we had, and they told us what to do, and we worked. And so that was all that went into it. So if it would have been outreach, if we would have done a lesson for the students that worked out at that farm or something like that, that would have made it outreach. But there was no prior thought to it. It was just show up and work and donate our time. And so that's what made it volunteerism. So one more thought, deep dive, thinking about outreach and engagement. Think about, for those of you, well, at any point in your career, you don't have to be early in your career, but think about as you're moving forward with your career, think about how you can incorporate outreach and engagement into your career. And I heard this from a faculty member that works here at Texas Tech. He said that in his first semester, he got a whiteboard out and drew out a map, a road map for his career as to how he could incorporate outreach and or engagement or engage scholarship into everything that he did. And I thought that was so astute and so smart to do that, because many universities are now recognizing outreach and engagement efforts as part of the promotion and tenure process. And, if you set it up right, if you plan it right in advance, you can collect data off of all of these projects and publish on that data. There are dozens of academic journals, peer-reviewed journals out there, and some of them have high index factors on them where you can publish your work and share your knowledge with other people where they can learn from you as well. So think about those types of things and try to incorporate those in advance. It's so much easier to do when you plan it out in advance, plan semesters at a time. So I would encourage all of you to do that. And that is all I have for this topic.
Well, thank you, Erica. And someone who is coming from a land grant institution, the term extension comes out. So extension and outreach. Extension is the same thing as engagement when you think about it. It's that mutual communication. You just add extension work versus outreach. Outreach is one way. Extension is two ways. That's how we usually speak. And then you
Right.
get to the scholarship if there's an actual peer-reviewed product
Yes,
that comes
exactly.
out.
Yes, that's exactly
Somebody
right.
has to look at it.
Yeah, somebody's got to review it. Yes. Yes. Yeah. And yeah, that's what, and there's so many journals out there that will publish this types of thing. And sometimes even our own journals that we typically publish, and sometimes they'll do professional development pieces and things like that. So it doesn't have to be a special scholarship of teaching and learning journal. Sometimes within your own discipline, they'll publish these things. So yeah, take a look within and share what you learned from these experiences.
So one thing, and we're going to get into our next topic here in a second, but when you're writing a grant and it's integrated, or if it's an extension and outreach specifically grant, like our food safety outreach program, they expect you to use the terms properly.
Mhm.
So, and they also expect you to be measurable. So when you say you're going to have outreach activities, you need to have a number. We talked about that in previous sessions, the importance of actually capturing how many surveys are you going to do? How many field days are you going to do? How many educational sessions are you going to put on? How many scholarly work are you going to do? So that's like publications. Where are you going to put them in? Is it a trade article, a magazine article, or are you going to a formal peer reviewed like the Journal of Extension?
Yeah.
So you have to think about with your grants using the proper language. And then one complaint I always see is when it's research, when they use the two components of research and extension and outreach, or outreach and engagement, they're not equal. So you have to think about the percentage of your grant efforts and making sure that you have enough people. And we also just talked about yesterday about budget. Does your budget, and I see Dr. Davis here, does your budget match what you say for your outreach and engagement activities? A lot of these things are not free.
Right. Right.
They are not free. So we need to think about our budget as we go forward with this.
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of times I'll see outreach and engagement like created as an afterthought. And I think just like the times they are a changing, and granting organizations are expecting this to be a much more planned out and thought out and less of an afterthought. So yeah, it needs to be a significant, I don't want to say significant, but you need to have thought about that. And like I'll see people like, well, we're gonna create a documentary, and we're gonna budget $500 for it. You can't do a documentary with $500. Well, we'll hire a student. Okay, well, that documentary is uh, not going to be that good for $500. So when I see that, that's when, as a reviewer, I say, okay, then that effort was an afterthought. You didn't plan that out very well. Let's think of some other ways that we could reach the audience in a better way, in a more intentional way.
That's important because if you put field trips in there,
Yeah.
transportation costs, you have to have a
Oh,
bus or something. You
yeah.
have field days, you have to feed people. If you have
Yeah.
workshops, you have to feed people.
Yeah.
Coffee has to be present.
Coffee
Right.
is so, oh my gosh. We did a workshop without coffee one time, and I thought there was going to be mutiny. We didn't know.
Dr.
Yeah.
Davis, do you have to add?
Yes, yes. And if I can just add, yes, we definitely talked about that on yesterday because when it comes time to actually pay for things, if your grant gets funded, if things are afterthought, you're going to have a hard time trying to figure out how to move funds around
Mhm.
to make it happen because the granting agency is not going to be as likely, well, very rarely do they give you more money. And so you have to, so when it comes to getting those quotes, as they said, for travel, for food, for other participant costs, it has to be realistic because it's expensive to put these type of activities on. So I'm glad you're re-emphasizing that here.
So hopefully that those initial thoughts were really good with definitions. I'm going to go forward and I'm just going to talk about broadening your participation. Now, broadening your participation is something that USDA as well as NSF are really dedicated to. Diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility are terms that are thrown around a lot, but really it's looking at how are we making sure what you propose in your grant is going to reach the maximum amount of people. Now, your grant might be specific for one audience, but how can you translate that to other audiences? And have you thought about the barriers that might come in and especially with accessibility have come in? And so I put several programs here within USDA that are really looking at how you strengthen yourself, new investigator grants, but also looking at postdoctoral fellowships. Now, postdoctoral fellowships, they really want you to have a strong mentoring plan. So, when we were just talking about engagement and how you might participate, have your students participate, graduate students participate, those are things to think about. But also thinking about what type of institutions you might participate in your outreach engagement, your research to really broaden who you're serving. And I bring in the Food Safety Outreach Grant for this year because they have highlighted in their RFP specific populations they really want to see people serving: beginning farmers, small farmers. They want to see small to mid beginner, social disadvantaged people. So it's written directly into the RFP with the populations they hope you to serve. Sometimes it's food deserts or food insecure populations. So it's important for you to really look at that. In addition, the Food Safety Outreach Program grant gave additional money for collaborations. Now, we saw just a few days ago the partnership that's happening in Alabama between Alabama A&M University, Auburn University, Tuskegee University, where they are able to work together and get some additional collaborations. When we say collaboration, we're talking about mutual partnerships between them to engage in these acts. This grant that we are currently doing is an example of that. Texas Tech University is a Hispanic serving institution. Alabama A&M University is a historically Black university. And then we have Iowa State University, which is a land grant institution. So we are mixing associations or universities together for this collaboration. Now, NSF takes it a step further when they talking about broadening participation. They really want to focus on racial, ethnic, geographic, socioeconomic, sexual orientation, gender, because they value diversity within their STEM and sciences. They have both focus areas and emphasis programs where they are trying to specifically serve to minority serving institutions. They want to have at least 50% of their PIs as underrepresented groups, as well as looking at students and postdoc support. And they do a chart every year where they're tracking their money. So if you're thinking about NSF, it's a great place to think about niche audiences and niche partnerships going forward. NSF also talks about broader impacts and how you might take your research and have a greater societal outcome. So they give a lot of different examples of how you might increase your impact. And some of it comes back to our conversation of outreach and engagement. They want to see STEM education where you're improving education and educators' development. That might be how professional development put into your grant. They want public engagement where you're increasing the public literacy and public engagement. They want to see our societal well-being being improved so that we can have better citizens. They want workforce development, partnerships, national security, economic competitiveness, and infrastructure. So these are all examples of that. And the reviewers are asking the question of your proposal, how is that going to advance our societal outputs and benefit going forward? In your grant, do you have specific research plans that are going to move these things forward? So are you thinking about, is it well organized? Does it have a sound rationale behind it? Do you have the right team and resources? So these are the evaluation questions that they have related to your impact. And more than anything, transferability. So they want you to be able to move what you have learned, all of the knowledge, into science, into knowledge sharing. How can you translate it from one field or discipline to another population or another? So we're thinking about, okay, yes, I did this workshop for the Amish, but what are some lessons learned or what are the characteristics of that population that might be translated to other populations? And when you say a system approach is a term that I think is now fading out. It used to be very big where people are saying, we're going to do a holistic view on this and frameworks related to that. But it's really, how are you viewing the problem? And are you being realistic with all of the inputs and outputs that might come out of a project? So thinking about policies, regulations, the environment, all of the structures that might go around the problem. Now, this is a document that I found because when we're talking about definitions, a lot of people get multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary, and transdisciplinary term wrong. So I'm going to pause for just 1 second. I'm going to stop sharing. And I'm gonna share out a document that is present that kind of highlights the differences between these terms. When I found this article, I realized quite quickly I had been using the terms all wrong during my during my time as a faculty member. So give me 1 second. I have it up here. I'm going to share my screen so we can talk about the differences in terms. Again, we do not want you not to get points because you're using the wrong terms as you go forward. So multidisciplinary means working with several disciplines. It involves more than 2 disciplines where members are working independently on different aspects of the project. They might be working parallel or in sequential with each other. But they also have individual goals and positions. So when you use the word inter, that means you're working between different disciplines where you have more than 2 disciplines, but the members are working together on the project. They have shared goals, and a lot of them have shared roles. Now let's talk about transdiscipline. That's when you're working across and beyond several disciplines. It involves stakeholders, non-scientific people, and non-academic people within this. So this is members of different disciplines as well as an outside groups that have shared goals and shared skills. So what I can say is transdisciplinary and interdisciplinary is a term that I commonly swap out when I'm doing grants. So make sure that you have your terms right. Is this a multidisciplinary team where everybody has individual goals, or do you have some commonality and transferability? So let me get back to our slideshow. As we go forward. Sorry. Oh, way back to the front. Oh, sorry. Y'all are seeing my screen. Oop. All right. So that is our topic for today. We want to remind everybody before we go into question and answer that we have a lot of webinars that are already recorded on our website. Here's our website. And we have one last session tomorrow that will conclude our webinar series on learning from grant project rejections, as well as we have our accountability group. So with that, I'm going to bring the whole team back on, if you could come off, and we're going to have a brief discussion and welcome any questions from those that are participating on the call. So while we wait for questions, I would say I'm going to ask a few questions here. So Erica, as well as Armitra, when you think about outreach and extension and engagement, what are some challenges that you've seen faculty deal with when they're trying to engage with communities or other people when we talk about this?
Maybe trying to jump in too big too quick. I would say for any kind of an outreach or an engagement project, don't jump in and try to save everything in your first try. So, your first outreach, don't hop on, NBC Nightly News for your first media interview. Let's start with local TV or the campus newspaper. Let's do that one first and warm up that way and get used to doing that first. And then for like if you're going to do a community engaged learning project, start small and then ease your way in. And then also just rely on the resources around you. So our campus has what we call the Teaching Learning Professional Development Center. So I would recommend all faculty members plug into whatever that looks like on your campus. And if your campus doesn't have anything like that, then start looking into what might be available, like through webinars or other resources that are out there that can help you learn. The Engaged Scholarship Consortium is a good resource that's available, and they share information where you can find ideas and solutions.
I love that because there's nothing like saying, oh yes, I'll give a workshop, and they tell you, oh, it's just for 100 people. And you're like,
What?
what am I supposed to do with 100 people for all day?
Right.
But as you think about grants, let's be realistic with your numbers, right? If
Yes.
you say you're going to do 10 engagement activities, that's a lot of investment to make sure you have that mutual versus 10 outreach, where you're just going out and less time potential.
Right. Yes, yes, exactly. Yeah, and that's like ask yourself what's doable for me and the team that I'm working with. And yeah, and also just make sure it's measurable. Yeah, which a reviewer will pick up on that. They'll say like you've proposed an outreach activity, but this is not measurable.
I agree with that. I think sometimes one of the challenges is, you go into these grants thinking that you're going to have X number of participants in these activities, and sometimes it's hard to meet that.
Yeah.
So I think if you go into it as you both, Erica and Angela, said, being realistic, then you're able to kind of protect yourself from that, because it can be very discouraging, when you have this nice event plan. And I also think a big part of this is also being willing to reach out to people who've done this before. Really lean and depend on people who've done it, because they can help prevent a lot of these things that can come up. Because, we can't, in our grants, we put in pitfalls, right? Which is designed to help us kind of think ahead about this.
Mhm.
Sometimes we're able to catch those, but sometimes we're not, and so I think being okay with reaching out and asking for help is very crucial, especially if it's your first dive in.
Yeah. Yeah, find those mentors and ask them for help.
One other thing that Dr. Irlbeck, you mentioned was related to survey development. You said one of your colleagues was able to survey after, Dr. Jackson-Davis as well. Do you have any advice related to, you do this outreach activity or engage scholarship? How do you use an evaluator? How do you do your survey? Should I take a class? What is your advice for me?
Oh yeah, yeah, you can. I forget. Not everybody does social science. Yeah, yeah. So in ag communications, yeah, I had to take a class. But so reach out to your friendly social scientist on campus, or bring in an evaluator on your project. So that's one way. But if you do bring in a project evaluator, then you do have to budget to compensate that evaluator in some way. So yeah, so there's several ways to go about doing that. Pulling in somebody that's in agricultural communications, education, ag economics, or College of Education or Extension. They can help you set up a project evaluation where you can measure to see how well your objectives were met, or what was the quality of that project that you put together. So yeah, there's several ways to go about doing that. With a survey though, if you plan to collect, if you plan to publish those results, you do need to have IRB approval on that. So, and if you plan to survey children at all, get an IRB anyway. Even if you don't plan to publish the data, get an IRB anyway, just to protect yourself.
We have
And
a question.
I
Go
was
ahead.
about to say, Dr. Irlbeck hit the nail on the head with that. I'm not a social scientist, and so I lean heavily on, those experts like yourself. So you hit the nail on the head.
And I do as well, because I
You
can't
sure do,
write.
and Dr. Shaw. Absolutely.
I do not. I've taken the class and I've read the book, but I don't understand how to word
Yes.
the questions to
Yes.
get the information that you're trying to output. And that is a whole discipline and knowledge in itself, because me writing evaluation questions may not get me what I need. So really having that.
It is, and it's not comfortable. Like the way that you word a question is, well, I love qualitative. Like I like to do interviews. So writing surveys, I don't particularly enjoy doing that. I'd rather do qualitative interviews or focus groups or things like that, which is another way to do it. It's just surveys are a little bit faster. You can get your data quicker. So, but sometimes qualitative interview is the way to go.
So, got a question here. At what point do you talk to potential engagement partners, when you are writing the proposal or after you get the money?
It depends on how big of a project it is. If it's something fairly simple, then I think you could talk to them once you have the money. But if it's going to be something pretty involved and you're going to need their assistance and you're going to need to use their meeting space, and I think it depends on how involved it's going to be. So also, if they're the only game in town and you're really highly like, okay, so like we have our food bank has a farm, and you really like the only way this project could be done is if we use that food bank farm. There's no other food bank or a food bank farm in town. We probably better have their agreement from the get-go. but like if we were going to do something with a school, well, there's lots of schools in town. So if we didn't have somebody in mind, we just knew we wanted to work with school kids, that might be something that we could do after the fact. But I think it's probably, I don't know, it's probably better to have that agreement ahead of time. But I've had groups that I've worked with before, and they're like, whatever happened to that grant that you were going to do? We were really looking forward to it. Well, I didn't get the money. So, so there's
Yes.
that. Like, you get people excited about it, and then you don't get the money, and you feel bad about it. So, yeah.
But those letters of support are
Yeah.
amazing for grants.
Yes.
And so engaging early, especially if your project is like Dr. Irlbeck said, is dependent upon their participation. You
Mhm.
want to show that support from the industry or commodity or people group. So getting them engaged. And then also, one big thing that I'm seeing a lot of is making sure you're paying people for their time.
Yeah.
So honorariums, money in there for survey, little goodies,
Yeah.
$20 gift cards, things like that. Paying people for their time is something that I'm seeing USDA really being a little bit about.
Yeah, yeah, and people appreciate that. And I was in a meeting the other day, and somebody was like, "At what point have we surveyed farmers too much?" And so I think, yeah, I think you're right. I think a lot of survey grantors are wanting you to compensate in some way, and cash is always great.
And this is why I agree with both of you. I know Dr. Irlbeck and Dr. Shaw hinted at it, having the discussion earlier. That's why I think that's just better.
Uh-huh.
Because then you can get a handle on how much money is going to be involved. I feel like if you don't engage them, you could run the risk of, not creating a budget that's realistic for what you will really need. And then you'll end up having to scale back on that because you don't have the money to push forward. But I agree with Dr. Irlbeck. It is really disappointing. I mean, it's disappointing to have to say, "Oh, I'm sorry, we didn't get that money. We're gonna try again." But I think that on the side of making sure that you have enough money,
Mhm.
to do whatever effort it is that you want to do, it's best to at least, have some type of discussion and make sure they're on board with that.
Yeah.
And we talked about earlier in this series about why should we go to whatever our group is, go to meetings, mingle, even though a lot of us are introverts. That's where you make those partnerships. That's where you have those conversations where you find out needs and capacities and things like that. Like tomorrow, I'm going to the all girls school and we're talking about grocery shopping safety. But I want to
Cool.
engage. I know they've written a couple of grant letters for me. I got to give back, right? So whenever I do a lot of asking. So when someone's like, "Can you come and talk here?" It's like,
Yes.
"Okay, I'm coming. I'm coming. I'm coming. I'm gonna do it because
Yeah.
I know I'm gonna need a favor in the future
Mhm.
for that." So small talk is always great. Anybody
Oh,
else
make
have
sure
any?
make sure you take pictures or have somebody take pictures so we can put it on social media and
Our outreach team
That's right,
here.
that's right. Look at what Dr. Shaw can do.
Are there any other questions from the group that would be related to this? We love research, right? but you got to translate that research into something. And that's going to be that first page Christine's on. She talks about that first page, that bigger. You have to talk about the impact of your grant and what it's going to mean on the bigger scale. And that's where the outreach engagement, everybody wants it to give back to more jobs, more something, societal well-being of people, and all of that within this. So that's what it's about in the end. Well, I am not seeing any other questions come in. I want to just take a moment. I want to thank Dr. Irlbeck for coming on today and
Thank
talking
you.
with us about outreach
course.
and engagement and scholarship,
Yes.
and giving those definitions so that when you write your grant, you're doing it well.